So in the second half of our lesson, we are going to be talking about how to write the equation. And just like with our ellipses, I think the most important part of our strategy is to draw a graph, because it'll help you visualize what's going on. So as I draw my graph and write down some information here to visually get what's going on, the first thing I see that they tell me is that I have certain vertices. So my vertices are at plus or minus 2, 0. So I write those down. 1, 2, 1, 2. Here are my vertices. And the reason I love this is because it tells me something really fast. What does it tell me that I need? Center. It tells me my center. My center is right in the middle. So I know that my center is at 0, 0, because your center has to be right in the middle of your vertices. That tells me, oh, what else does it tell me?
That it opens horizontally.
It opens horizontally. So I know that my graph is going to open like this, because my vertices are horizontal. So that's great, because now I know that the x thing comes first. So I write the x thing first. X minus 0 squared minus y minus 0 squared equals 1. And I'm almost finished, just in that small part. There is one more piece of information that it gave me just with that small piece. This distance right here, from the center to the vertex, is 2 units. That tells me that underneath my x goes 4. So close. And now I have another piece of information that will also be helpful. I notice that they tell me where the foci are. So I go to write down my foci. 1, 2, 3 more. 1, 2, 3 more. And with my foci, that gives me another piece of information. That gives me this distance, which is 5, which we know as C. Good job. And the 2 doesn't matter in our case whether it's a or b, because we have a squared plus b squared. So it's okay, we don't have to worry about that. So when I go to look for this stuff, I know that c squared equals a squared plus b squared. What will my c squared be? 25. Because 5 squared is 25. And it doesn't matter which number I pick for a squared or b squared, but the 4 is one of those. So I'm just going to put it first. So if 25 is equal to 4 plus b squared, that tells me that my b squared thing, whatever that is, will be right here. What's b squared? 21. You just write down the number. Because 21 and 4 is 25, and you're done. Okay, and the second one, again, I'm going to draw a graph. So I put a graph on here. And in this graph, the first thing that would be really important for me to do is write down the vertices. So I write down the vertices. 0 plus or minus 3. This tells me, number 1,
that your center is at 0, 0.
Center is at 0, 0. And number 2,
opens vertically.
Opens vertically. So I have y minus 0 squared minus x minus 0 squared equals 1. I got all that from that one piece of information about my vertices. Next, in addition to that, I know that since my distance between my center and my vertex is 3 units, the number that goes underneath the y is
9.
9. So now I'm 75% there. And all I really need left is the thing that goes under my x. So notice how they talk about this asymptote stuff. And I know that the asymptotes, when I talk about them, is the square root of the y thing over the square root of the x thing. I already know what the y number is. What was the y number? 9. So the square root of 9 is 3. But there's got to be something on the bottom. And they told me the slope was 3, which means it's 3 over 1. Which means the number that goes underneath the x is that number squared.
1.
And you're done.
Please.
In number 6, I draw my graph again because it helps me visualize what's going on. They tell me my vertices, which I love when they do that. So my vertices are at negative 2, 1, negative 1, 2, 1. So there's one vertex. And at 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. The thing I love about that is it tells me where my center is. So my center is exactly in the middle, which tells me my equation, since I can also tell I'm opening horizontally, will be x minus 0 squared minus y
1.
minus 1 squared equals 1. And because they told me where my vertices were, I know the distance between my center and my vertex is 2 units, which means the number that goes under my x is 4. And the only other piece of information that they tell me is that it passes through the point 5, 4. So somehow I need to use this point in order to figure out my answer. Well, that's not so bad, because all that's saying is plug in the 5 for the x value, plug in the 4 for the y value, and then whatever you're looking for in the end, you know the answer will be down here. So I want you to try that. I want you to plug it in and to try to find that number. Okay, so as I try to solve the rest of this problem, what this means is that I would rewrite it the following way. 5 minus 0 squared all over 4 minus 4 minus 1 squared all over something equals 1. That something was the thing that we're looking for. You can call it x, j, q, p, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to call it blue blob. When you get done solving this equation, because right now, if you put a letter in there, let's just say, just for the sake of argument, that I put the letter J, that didn't show up well, did it? Put the letter J in there, and I solve this thing, what you're going to find out is that J, I got 12 sevenths. So the thing that would go underneath the Y thing would be 12 sevenths. Weird but true. Last one. The last one, drawing my picture again and looking for information that they give me. Yes, they give me vertices right away. Love it when they do that. So I go onto my graph and I put these vertices down. 3, negative 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's one vertex. And then 3, 0 is my other vertex, which tells me that my center is directly in the middle of those two things. So my center is going to be at 3, negative 3, halfway in between. And that's wonderful because now I know that when I'm writing down my equation, I will have, what comes first? The y thing comes first, right? Because it's opening vertically. So y plus 3 squared minus x minus 3 squared equals 1 is how I can start. After I put that stuff down, I know that the distance between my center and my vertices is 3 units. That means the number under the y thing is going to be 9. They give me one more piece of information. They tell me what my asymptotes are. And the cool thing about my asymptotes is that when I look at them, I know that my slopes for my asymptotes, if that's all I care about, are plus and minus 1. Which means when I think about the square root of the y thing over the square root of the x thing, these two numbers have to be the same, right? Because that's how you got a 1. So that means I already know that the number under the x has to be
9.
Because that's the only way you can get a 1. 3 divided by 3. Square root of 9 is 3. Square root of the y thing. That means the square root of the x thing also has to be 3.